Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Spartan Sports Report for this week. Sam, we have a guest with us that hadn't been here for a while.
Well, we've missed him.
That's right.
Athletic Director Brent Duncan. Always good to have him along.
I'm good to be the fill-in when my coaches can't.
Is that what it is?
But you're the man with all the answers.
I just have my own answers.
Well,
Before we begin about spring sports, I want to talk to you a little bit about basketball. Is that okay?
That's what you like all the time.
Anyway, on the day of the finals, the executive committee, IHS2A, was busy, and you were among that. And you had the pleasure of putting around the necks of the kids that won the 3A championship.
Absolutely.
The championship medals. Silver Creek Dragons.
Good day.
And it must have been quite an honor.
Yeah, it's always good. You know, it's bittersweet when you have to do the runner-up ones. So I did those during the 2A game, and I gave out the runner-up trophy at the 1A game. And then having played Silver Creek 2 out of the last 3 years in the regional softball, so I kind of knew Jeff a little bit. So I told him I wouldn't mind hanging the ribbons on Silver Creek. It doesn't matter where they go. So thank goodness they won. So it's nice to hang those blue ribbons. Kids are always much more excited when we put those blue things on their neck.
Then the red.
The red ones are still a little disappointed
Sure.
from losing, and time it sinks in the next day or so they'll realize how.
I know you congratulate each of the kids, and do they have anything to say in response?
Not most of them will say thank you, and that's about it. But, it's always a pleasure to see those smiles and do the things for our kids in the state. So.
And after you put the ribbons around the necks of the players, there was a little man. They tell me he's been a statistician for 61 straight years.
Yeah, one of the Silver Creek guys. He come out there and got his medal with the rest of them because they get X amount of medals, and that's how many they hand out. And he was one of them that got one. So I'm sure he was ecstatic. That was their first state championship, I think, in any sport.
Yes.
So, but he was all smiles.
That's quite a record, 61 years.
Yeah, I think Terry's pushing him a little bit. He's about 48 or 47 or 48 in there, but he's got a few years to go to get to 61. So.
But I know it was a great honor. It was a great tourney, wasn't it?
Yeah, the games were really good, all of
Yes.
them. And it's just an honor for me to be able to represent the state and our school on that executive committee and be a part of that and get to attend all the athletic and state final events. So.
Well, the IHSA is to be congratulated on the way the tournament was run. I mean, I think it was very smooth this year.
Yeah, Paul Neidig was the assistant commissioner in charge of boys basketball. He used to be the overall athletic director at Evansville over all the schools in the city. And he did a good job of running the tournament. There are a lot of people in behind the scenes that nobody sees that's taking care of lots of different things.
Absolutely.
Student advisory committee kids to other ADs that are no longer working, but it's still part of the tournament. So it's kind of a family atmosphere when they get there. Everybody kind of has their little job, what to do. And so it was a good 4 games. Long day, but good games.
It's nice that you got to practice to put the ribbons or the medals around the kids, and when you do it for the Spartans, well, you know how to do it.
That's my hope. One day we're hanging the medals on the necks of our kids, so that'd be all right.
Yeah, right, I know. And Kerry joins us last week, brought no belt, and he's very optimistic about the coming season because of all the returning kids.
Yeah, you know, that's as one person said one time, the good thing is everybody's back, and the bad thing is everybody's back. So it depends on what they do in the off season as to how much they improve. And then you got new kids coming in the mix, you know, because who might try out, might be somebody that we don't know may try out. And of course, you don't know how your incoming freshmen are going to gel in and where they fall in the picture. And that'll be sorted out through the summertime, I'm sure, watching them grow and get better at the things they're supposed to be getting better at.
Sam, we were happy to find out all the things that happened during the summer. I mean, it just isn't during the winter months that the basketball coaches are busy, and vice versa. I mean, Adam Kelly works year-round on football.
And rightfully so. And I know that some of the kids work at more than one sport in the off season, but it was always said that winners are made in the summertime when it comes to basketball. So.
Yeah, you work on your skill in the off season, and the seasons where you can polish it and showcase it. So.
Did I hear you say that classifications came out today?
I did.
Well, why don't you elaborate a little bit on that?
Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous.
Well, based on the numbers that were sent to me by Jason Willie, the SID at IHSA, the boys and the girls will both be in 3A.
Well, we kind of thought that. Are we right at the cut line?
Second largest school in 3A, so we're just a tad under.
Who's Kankakee Valley?
Kankakee Valley is right above us, same as in volleyball.
Okay.
So that puts volleyball, basketball, boys and girls both in 3A, and of course boys soccer's in 3A, and girls soccer's in 2A because of the lack of number of girls soccer programs in the state. So, and we'll find out with baseball and softball in the spring once the state tournament's over. I mean, in the fall once the state tournament's over.
Okay, we go to 3A, so when do we find out who else is in that mix with us when it comes sectional time?
I didn't look that far to see if they've drawn those lines yet. They'll have a committee that'll meet here in the end of April to set the lines and the boundaries of where the tournaments will be played. So for the winter time. So.
Okay, all right. So it's
Spartan
going to be different.
may host a sectional.
It's always possible.
Sure. We may be the biggest gym in.
Well, it depends. You know, Newcastle's 3A,
Right, if
Delta's
they're-
3A.
if they're-
If we go south, do we go back to the northeast or northwest a little bit? Do we go that direction? I don't know where we'll fall.
Could fall in, and it'd be an EIAC sectional,
And throw Madison in and-
or we could go north with Newcastle.
Yeah, and I think Blackford's dropping, so they may be 2A. So you never know. You could end up in Muncie with Yorktown and Delta and those schools. But
And it doesn't really matter.
no, take your warriors to the war, and if you're not long afraid of taking your weapons to the game with you. Weapons are the kids that's got coming. So
It's not the first time we've been in 3A. When Matt Howard played,
Been a
we were in
little
3A. It's been a while. But,
And where our student population is, we're going to be on that fluctuation line, unless we have a great big growth or a big decline of kids. So we're always going to be on that borderline right now where we're at in our enrollment size. So
The number of schools declined, like at 410 this year.
I didn't go down and look to see
Okay.
what the bottom number was. I know starting there was 406
Okay.
is what they've said. So I knew we were going to be close to that.
Right.
101.5 is the true cut line. If you split them evenly, we're 102 biggest in size, so it was just a matter. But then there's some schools that jumped up to 4A because
Yes.
of their success factor, and some jumped from 2A to 3A. So like I know Oak Hill, which is our tribal high school, there are 545 kids in our high school, but their success has pushed them from 2A to 3A. So we'll see how they pan out.
I mean, pointed out, it doesn't affect the schedule.
No, the schedule is still the schedule. Nothing's
Right.
changed for next year. Not planning on them. Might be looking for a different scrimmage in the year. We've been scrimmaging Knightstown for a while. I think coach is ready to look, but I think we have one more year on the contract. So once that's up, we'll
Sure.
maybe look to find a new scrimmage opponent. And then once you get your tournament set and know where we're at, maybe we got to add a couple people if we're not already playing them on our schedule.
Yes.
So we'll look once we know where the sectional opponents are going to be and make sure we're playing them all during the regular season. So as quickly as we can get them on the schedule. So.
That's being on that line where we fluctuate. Got to make it a little hard for you, I would think, in scheduling, where if we were always going to be in 4A or always going to be on 3A, then
Well, you're always
then you
looking
could,
for those opponents. So, but for the schools we're playing a pretty good schedule. We'll always try to play some of the indie schools just to see a different style of athlete, different style of game. The indie game's a little different than the game out in the surrounding, outside the donut, so to speak.
when we had Coach Brown on last week, and we talked a little bit about classifications. He likes playing some of those indie schools as long as they still want to play us, whether we're whatever class we're in.
Well, I think if your program's successful and the coaches know your reputation in the program that you run, they're not going to shy away from it, because about everybody that's been successful wants to play quality teams. It's going to be somewhat of a fight to win, and know that you're going to be able to just not walk in and win by 50 points and not really get anything out of the game. So,
And there's, you look at some of the programs from the Rust Belt cities, and we're one of those. But Muncie Central, when Muncie South was still there, they had dropped to 3A. Marion had dropped to 3A, but we're quality opponents no matter what. So, and I would
even
I would
Muncie
put
Central
us in
for a
with
while
it.
was at 3A.
That's what
Between South and Central. So, but there's quality basketball at 3A just as much as at 4A, and we're still going to play a lot of the 4A schools. So you have to play competition to get better. So.
Yes.
We might look at this week's sports schedule. On Monday, the Spartan varsity baseball at Franklin County. Junior varsity baseball is home to Franklin County. In softball, the Lady Spartans are home to Rushville. On Tuesday, a co-ed track meet with Rushville at Connorsville. Girls tennis home to South Dearborn. On Wednesday, softball, the Spartans play at Mount Vernon. Baseball with New Palestine at Connorsville. Tennis will be at the Oldenburg Academy. On Thursday, baseball in Connorsville with Franklin County. Softball at Richmond. On Friday, boys golf with Greensburg at Connorsville. On Saturday, baseball at Versailles. Softball at South Dearborn. track meet at Lawrence Central, the golf team in an invitational at Richmond. At Versailles, a couple of South Ripley and so what is that?
It's a three-way, so we're actually playing at North Decatur High School.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to play South Ripley in one game, and we're going to play North Decatur in the last game. So
I see.
It's just three of us meeting up. We needed 2 games, and they needed a couple opponents, so we're all playing at North Decatur. So South Ripley will play North Decatur at 10. We'll play South Ripley at 12:30, and we'll turn around and play North Decatur at 3. And then tomorrow at the field, I don't know if it's on there or not, but we have a make-up softball game with Oldenburg.
Okay.
Tomorrow at 5:30 as well. So
That was rained out, or was it?
rained out March 30th.
That was the opening.
Opening day we were supposed to have.
Right,
A
right.
little cold, a little rainy.
Baseball team is another conference game, but right now they're 1-0 in the conference.
1-1.
Okay.
We got beat on Monday at Batesville 5-2, and then we turned around and beat Batesville 2-0, who's ranked 10th in 3A, and we shut them out 2-0 on Thursday night. So
Okay.
1-2 in the 1-1 in the conference, and hopefully we'll play in Franklin County tonight. We'll hopefully pick up a win down there.
The junior varsity team, what about those kids? How many games did they play?
They've played 3. They're 0-3 right now. Sometimes we've been our own worst enemy with walks and errors. So
Okay.
we get those straightened out. We lost 16-12, and we've been 10-run rule a couple times. So, it's a learning experience for a lot of those kids out there that are younger and freshmen trying to play JV level and trying to get your pitching in. And if you haven't watched pitching is the key in baseball. And
Sure.
you're not throwing it across the plate. You can't walk 7 or 8 guys and expect to perform well because somebody's going to get that one hit that's going to clean the base. So.
You have Michael Thompson, Eric Myers on the varsity level who coaches the JV team.
Jeremy Horn is our JV coach.
Good deal, good deal. They play at Spartan Field, of course.
Yeah, they'll play there, and if we have any conflict, we're also using the Babe Ruth complex as well if we
Okay.
need to. So there might be one or two games that we might have to stick down to that might have a varsity game at the high school and play our junior varsity game down there at the Babe Ruth complex, which is where our middle school's playing at tonight. So.
Okay.
And then, of course, our middle school softball's using our old softball field, so it's kind of worked out nice for them.
Yeah.
So they got a place to play all the time consistently. So
What do you call the new softball field?
Spartan Field
Just a new
number 87. I don't know.
Okay. So we can refer to it as Spartan Field?
Varsity softball field's all I call
Okay,
it. So
okay.
It doesn't have a name. Now, if you want to donate some money, we'll be glad to put
make
your
it
we'll
Fran Scholl.
we'll be glad to put your name up around the fence line somewhere.
TV3.
Well, I might talk to the people who run
For the right amount of money,
TV3.
I should say. Don't know what the number is.
But
yet.
is it working out okay? I know it's, you guys put a lot of money and
We've had,
effort into it.
We had one game there already, and this is
Mm-hmm.
game number 2 tonight. And girls really like it, and we're working on doing some, getting ready to do some landscaping type things around the outside because we just have everything put in, so it's still kind of got some straw on places where we've reseeded, and we're going to try to fix all the area from around the press box so it's not muddy, and going to put some cement down probably. And so that's in the works, so it's just a matter of time. Get all that taken care of so we can get all of our people back from the parking lot to the press box without having to worry about rolling through the rock. And so we're working on it, so we're getting there.
Any other fields to be constructed around it?
Oh, I have my master list, but
Okay.
we'll work
Yeah.
on that as money permits and time allows.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
Still plenty of room to grow, though.
Absolutely. So I'll get the field house done, and we'll talk about other projects after we kind of get through the construction phase.
Okay, the middle school sports schedule, Monday's opening day for the golf team. They're home with Greensburg. The team will be at Union County Tuesday and home with Cambridge City on Thursday. Monday, also opening day for the track and field team as it travels to Centerville. And the middle school baseball team also has its opener Monday with a home game with Knightstown. The baseball team travels to New Palestine Tuesday, is home Wednesday, and with South Dearborn, and Saturday it welcomes National Trail, Ohio, to Connersville for a doubleheader. The other middle school spring sport, softball, welcomes Greensburg to Connersville Monday, goes to Franklin County Tuesday, and Friday is home playing Greendale. So the middle school will be using the Babe Ruth field quite a bit?
Yeah, I think for the most part, all the games will be played on the senior Babe Ruth team. That league that runs there doesn't start till after our high school season's over, so it kind of sits idle through the spring. So Eric Myers and the Parks Board's done a great job of new windscreen and new caps, and now has a warning track in the outfield. So we're working on it. The only thing that's not working great is the scoreboard, but can't seem to figure out who can come up and work on it. So
The guy that put it in moved to the Carolinas. So.
yeah, and their company's out of Louisville, and they wanted a lot of money to drive, or south of Louisville. So
Oh, gosh.
they wanted a lot of money to drive. So Eric Myers made it the old style like Wrigley, and he put it behind the home plate and put the little flip cards on it
Okay.
during innings. So
That sounds
kind of
like-
unique.
It worked.
It'll work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Crosley
we can figure out
Field
who
did
can
that,
come
I
and
think,
fix it.
for a long time, didn't they?
Yeah.
Cincinnati?
Yeah,
Maybe they ought to go back to that.
Wrigley Field used to stick. You see the guy stick his head out of Wrigley Field and put the little card
That's
on it.
right.
Oh,
This softball at the middle school first year for it, or is it?
we've had baseball and softball last year as club sports.
Okay.
And now this year they're in with the actual sport, so it's kind of working out good. Helps get our program started before, especially the fast pitch for girls. For so long, the Parks Department was slow pitch. They've slowly converted the last year and a half into fast pitch, so that'll help our programs in the long run. And then being able to get the girls out in middle school to hit. And hopefully, we can expand those numbers next year would be the goal. So, and obviously, the goal for both would be able to field two teams, a 7th grade team and an 8th grade team. Right now, we just have one at each level. So, I know we had a lot of girls that came out for softball that some of them didn't make it because of the numbers that can only be kept on the team. So hopefully, if that number continues to grow, we can look at maybe adding just a straight 7th grade team and a straight 8th grade team, or two combined teams. It doesn't.
Sure, but this has to help the high school teams.
Well, yeah, and it's like anything. If you can get them in that competition of that sport.
Yes.
So we haven't had fast pitch at the lower levels, and they come into high school thinking it's the same softball that they play in the rec league, and the ball's traveling just a tad bit faster, and the whole game's a little bit different. So it should help us in the long run.
Other track and field teams, what facility will they be using for the middle
The
school?
middle school, they come out and run at our place.
Okay,
so
that's
they
what I
come
thought
out the high school.
probably would, yeah. And then, of course, they play golf at Willowbrook.
Everybody's playing golf at Willowbrook.
Willowbrook. So it's,
Even the AD, is he playing any golf?
Play on the weekends when I can, if I don't have coach's pitch or 1st and 2nd grade basketball or whatever else. So, but those things are just as good. So
Yes, they are.
I snuck in a couple this weekend.
I know you have the fall schedules completed probably, so you're working on the winter sports schedule?
Yeah, we're wrapping them all up and just making sure we have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted and make sure. And sometimes you can't get everything done in the fall because if they have invites, they don't like to send you contracts too early. They seem to send those out a little bit later, but we're getting ready to finish up and start going through all the contracts for the winter time and trying to turn it into an electronic system and less paperwork. So we're working on a few things from our end to make it a little more organized from a computer standpoint instead of
Yes.
we have a scheduler, but we still file all of our papers, so we have them in a folder. So that's Mandy's job. So,
Okay.
but we're working on turning it into a Google Doc that we can store them on there and have them as a PDF instead of a piece of paper. So we're working on things.
Coach Brown's pretty excited about the Phil Cox Memorial games at Kokomo.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. We've been in the wedding for so long, so it's a great opportunity for us to go, a couple hours away and
Yes.
have a little team bonding as they go, because sometimes it's helpful to have your teams out on the road and have to spend the night in a hotel. You get to learn a little bit about each other, as long as they all behave. And I know Coach Brown will have the halls monitored very well, and just see some good competition that we don't get to see during the year. So
Yes.
we'll get to play 3 games in those 2 days.
Jeffersonville is one of the teams he mentioned.
Jeffersonville, Valpo, I think Hamilton Heights, Eastern, Kokomo, University High School. I'm going to miss somebody. Maybe Decatur Central.
8.
There's 8 schools in
8
it all
schools.
together.
Pretty good competition.
Yeah, top to bottom. So, we're going to probably play Valpo and whoever, and Kokomo's going to set up their little draw to play who they want to play. So, but that's the way it is. When you host the invite, you can do what you want.
It'd be nice somehow for Spartans and the Wildcats to
That'd be good.
play
Maybe
each
be in the
other
finals.
because they both
Maybe be in the finals.
have claim to Phil Cox.
So, be a good way to go. Play each other for the championship.
Are the plans for this to be an annual event, or is it just a one-time?
This is the first time, so I assume
Okay.
they're planning on annual now. Whether we continue to play in it or not,
see.
we'll see how it goes and how good the competition stays. We've had some good competition in the wedding. There's a couple things with the wedding right now. We've got more teams that we play in the regular season that have been in there. Shelbyville's been in there, and Greensburg's been in there. You don't like to play them in that.
Sure.
You're trying to play
Like that.
later. So
Yeah, we had to do that with Greensburg this year.
Right.
yeah, right after we played, we had to open up with them right after the Christmas season. So we'll see how things go.
You can play 20 regular season games,
22
22.
or 20 in a tournament.
Okay, if you're playing in the tournament, it's 3 games.
As many as you need.
Okay,
So the tournament is a tournament. If it's a 4-game tournament, then it's 4
Okay.
games. So. Or if you want to play in 2 tournaments, you can do that, but the games in the second tournament count against your 20 regular season games. So
okay. So do you have a preference?
me, whatever the coaches want. I don't have a preference.
Okay, but it's an interesting job. I mean, it keeps you on your toes, I would think.
I think there's a lot of little things that go on behind the scenes that I'd enjoy doing that people don't know happens. And just as I didn't know happened when you're coaching, you don't know everything on the
Yes.
backside. So my goal is just to make sure we have both teams, all the officials, and the right people in the right place. And everything else can happen by fly if it has to once you got everything
I
set
would
up.
assume for this season at least that the girls would continue at the Rumble.
They're going to go to the
We got
Rumble.
a new coach coming in that,
Yeah. They're still currently in the Rumble. I don't know that we make any changes with the new coach coming in. If there's something that we think we can change and we have a contract that's out, we might look at it. But until we know where we're going to fly in the tournament, you don't want to make a lot of changes in case you got to make changes down the road and pick up a team that we don't have on our schedule already. So we'll hopefully have that process done here in the next couple of weeks and be able to name a new head girls coach and get our program set in motion and get things rolling for the girls' side. So.
good.
Are you involved in the summer programs that the coaches run much?
Just organizing and making sure that they have gym time, and if they're traveling to those camps, got buses ready, and that'll be Mandy's job. She's going to find out here in the next week, but she does all of our scheduling of buses. So just to make sure that everything's on, we're not conflicting in the gym, and somebody's trying to come in and somebody else thinks they already got in there. So, and most of them do things through June and take a lot of the July off. Football will do more in July than anybody else just because they're starting to gear up for the season.
Yes.
The 1st of August. Of course, track runs those open road leagues, or they have the kind of youth running program now, so track will do that. And I know Coach Bloom's going to have some things with tennis in the summertime, camps. And Coach Bodley's already got a soccer camp in, and I think Coach Cooley joins in with Coach Bodley, so they do soccer camp together if they can. And so try to give it out there for everybody.
And what's the football program schedule look like during?
Same as last year, just flip-flop, home and away. So in a couple of years, we're going to go to Batesville, I believe, this year, and then we're going to go back to Batesville, so it'll kind of balance us back out at 5 and High. Batesville had a conflict and asked if we would switch, come to them 2 years in a row. So, but every night now we have 4 home games one year and 6 counting the scrimmage the next year because of when we wanted to pick up Monrovia, they wanted a home game, and they needed a home game, and we didn't want to lose a good scrimmage opponent based on whether we'd have 4 or 5. So after next year, we'll be back to 5 and 5. Just makes it a little easier to plan on how much money you got coming in each year. And one year, you're going to be a little short in football, and one year you're going to be a little longer in football.
Yes.
So it balances out. So
Are luck going to continue as far as the sectional?
I don't know. It's been 7 consecutive years that we've opened at home in game number 1. You'd like to think as a math guy the odds are against you, but Adam seems to have that lucky ball right now that every time our name comes out, we're at the second one out of the hopper in that little bracket. We're home, so
We like it.
we don't mind. So hopefully we'll continue to get better and get a little sectional win in behind us next year.
And this new realignment takes effect when?
Next school year.
Okay.
So as soon as this school year is over, we'll be in 3A in boys basketball, girls basketball, and volleyball. And like I said, in the fall, we'll find out what happens with baseball and softball. Then we'll
Football,
draw
we
those.
stay.
Football, we're 4A. We're pretty much right in the middle of 4A unless they decide to put a 7th class in. I don't see that coming. And I don't see 5 classes coming in basketball. And there's actually been some talk by one of the assistant commissioners, maybe we should only have 3 classes. So who knows where we'll go.
I would like that.
But we'll see where we're at. We'll be back in. If we go 3, we'd be in the bottom of the big one anyway. So, but it doesn't matter if you train your kids and you prepare them. There's good 2A schools as good as there are 4A
They
schools.
played
so.
nearly 100 years without worrying about that. So.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm a truist.
Yeah.
I go back, but I don't. It'd be just as hard to turn back, if not harder,
Sure.
than to go.
Sure,
It was
and,
to move it,
and
so.
it won't ever go back.
Not that I see. I don't.
No.
I think there'd be too many people up in arms about it right now. So.
Who will make the decision as to where you will go?
There'll be a committee. They'll sit down and start in one of the corners and start drawing out the lines and trying to balance. And it gets harder in the south because there's less bigger schools the further south you go. And obviously most of the schools are around Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Gary, and Evansville. And then we're kind of spaced out everybody where else. So just depends on which corner they start in and where we head.
Yeah, it's
So-
something when in 4A and boys basketball this year, and we've seen it before, that one team represented the north and one represented the south, but they were 20 miles from each other.
Correct. Somewhere there's a cut line, so it depends on where that's at. And if you really look at it, I think there was a team, Benton Central. I think they won the south, but they're probably closer
Pretty
to
far
the north.
Yeah.
So it just depends on where those numbers are. And like I said, in the south, the schools get so spread out. You know, Bedford's sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, kind of like we are over with Richmond on this side of the state. Us, Richmond, and East Central are the three biggest schools over here. And next from closest would be Jay County, probably, when you jump up a little bit. When you get down to Bedford, there's not a whole lot around Bedford and Washington and those areas. So just populations. So we'll see. They should make that meeting here, I think, at the end of April and start working on it. So.
And where do the members of this committee come from?
Well, they come from the executive committee, and then if they don't have enough spots, there's so many people in each committee, they'll reach out to ADs that might want to, ADs or principals that might want to sit in and fill in the meeting.
So you could possibly be on one of these?
Well, I am on the baseball, softball one, but there was an issue, so I don't know that I'm going to be on the baseball. The guy who assigned us thought I was in District 2 and put me in District 2, and we're in District 3. So then they asked an AD in the South to be on the committee, and then Commissioner Cox felt bad about having to call that guy back and say, hey, we made a mistake. So I might be on one, and I don't know yet. So I'm supposed to be on the baseball, softball, but we'll see where that goes. So
And you guys meet once a month?
Once a month.
Okay.
we have a 2-day retreat in the summertime, and then we attend the national conference, National Athletic Director Board's conferences. Like I should say, the Illinois, this is the 100th year. We're actually hosting it in Indianapolis this year, so we'll be working all 5 days during the first week of July. When we're on moratorium week, we'll be working at the conference around the 4th of July.
So you do work with other states?
Yeah, every summer they have an annual conference for all the boards of directors. And last year we were in Chicago, and last year started in Chicago 100 years ago, so it's kind of nice for us to be able to host the 100th year of all the athletic directors or governing bodies conference. So
Is that where things would be discussed, like the three-point line where it's placed, or a shot clock, or
there were
those
some
kind
of
of
those-
things talked about?
there was some of that talk last year. They've even talked about having a national high school champion in each sport, but I don't know how you would do that with travel and money and logistics. And, you know, like when I look at Minnesota, volleyball's in the spring, our volleyball's in the fall.
Yes.
Some's got lacrosse. I was looking at the guys thinking in Minnesota, they got Nordic skiing, they got alpine skiing, they got different things in Minnesota, they got hockey. So I don't know how you determine where you have your national championship at and who's going to pay, and that'd be a big expense. You know, we tried the tournament of champions in Indiana, and that didn't go well because you win a state championship one weekend and next weekend you're a loser again. So, but there's a lot of logistics to have a national championship game in high school. So,
Hockey ever come to Connersville?
I don't think we're far enough north, but
Not enough ice,
snow and
or-
ice. But
Well, there's some kids that go over to Oxford to
we
play. but-
have. I know Larry Miller's nephew from Indianapolis played hockey all through high school, and we had Cole Cleve went over and played in Hamilton when he was here. It was a goalie. So we've had a few kids who go over and play hockey.
Right. It would be interesting, but that would be a very expensive sport.
I would think from a liability issue standpoint and insurance
and uniform,
equipment and
right? I would think that.
having to have a machine that makes ice and keep your rink cold, and I'm sure a
Okay.
puck costs a lot.
We'll scratch that one. Is that okay?
You know, lacrosse is big in a lot of places too, so
Yes.
I don't know if that'll ever come to a sport here. We've got a lot of clubs in the state that have lacrosse. My niece plays lacrosse in St. Louis, so we'll see.
Always a pleasure to have you, Brent, join us and bring us up to date on all the sports of CHS.
I'm a pleasure to be here anytime you need me.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Good night.